You're listening to Excellence Above Talent, a podcast where we have the hard conversations about the lives of men and what leads us to achieve greatness and suffer defeat. Hear from other men's journeys as well, as we all learn and grow together to become inspirations to ourselves and those around us. And now your host, Aaron Thomas.
What's up, my beautiful people? Aaron Thomas with Excellence Above Talent. We're going to have a crazy show today. We have a lot of fun and crazy people and Pita here. So we have Maribel, Pita, and Edmy. And we're just going to have a conversation just about, everything men, the state of men. It's kind of cool because we get perspectives from women. We get to kind of see, where they come from and how they feel about, these issues that men go through. And so, without further ado, I'll let them introduce themselves.
I am Maribel Sotelo. I'm 26 years old. I have two beautiful baby boys, and Edmy is my husband, so... Really glad to be here today and talk about what anything about men. So
my name is Edmy Sotelo. Happily married with two kids as well. Big shout out to Aaron for having us on the podcast. Excited to see what we come up with today. And last but not least,
Lupe.
My name is Lupita. I am 26 years old. I have a 5-year-old son, and I am excited to be here today. Thank you, Aaron, for having us.
She's super awkward right now. I'm not sure why, because she's like the littlest person I know, but she talks the most shit. So,
spicy.
Yeah, it's weird.
She's little but spicy.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just jump right into it. The suicide rate, men are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide than women. So just as a question for just everyone, why do you think that rate is so high with men?
I honestly think it's high because I feel like a lot of men don't have, don't have that backup like women do. I want to say, like, if I'm going through like something, I have Lupita, I have my mom, and I'm okay talking about it. Like, hey, mom, I'm going through so-and-so, depression or whatever that could be. And I feel like with men, it's so much harder because since they were grown up, since raising them, it's, hey, you have no feelings, put your head down, go to work, go to work, go to work. So, and I think like through that is when you start becoming an addict, you start getting abusive because you hold all those feelings inside of you that you start just to lash out. And once, I'm pretty sure it comes to the point where you just want to kill yourself, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. So that's my input.
I think that for men, it's harder. Like they have to be the providers, and they're the man of the house. And so a lot of the times, like, they don't have time even to share with their spouse what they're going through, much less with friends, because it's like a weakness for them. Mm-hmm. I think, it's a weakness for them. It's easier for women to express their feelings, even though it can be hard for them. It's much easier because for men, they're stronger and they're the man. Like they're known for being strong. So their feelings they don't ever bring them out.
Get validated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
I think it's a leadership thing. We're taught at a young age to never, and even in our parents' case, like, how would you feel like if your dad was like, hey, I don't think we're going to be able to eat, I don't have any money. Like, you'll start seeing weakness in your dad, and then you'll want to start. So when it comes to suicide, I feel like sometimes it's a very difficult subject, and our hearts go out to everyone that's ever found themselves in that position. But I feel like sometimes they just don't have anyone for advice or how to go about something, and I'm really glad that this is an outlet for people
For sure.
that find themselves in that position to listen to and even reach out. I'm sure people can reach out and ask questions and stuff like that, right?
For sure.
I mean, you even had a time where you were like, felt like nobody gave a damn. Like, I remember me and Edmy struggled in our marriage a lot because I felt like he didn't want to open up. And I was like, not so much that I wanted him to be like sensitive and like, tell me your feelings, cry to me. Not so much that point, but as in like, what's going on with you? Like, tell me. And I felt like he had like, well, I don't want to tell you my problems because you're going to freak out. And more than likely, I probably will freak out because I'm like, what's going on? How can I help you? And it's just, I wish back then what I know now, I feel like, I could have probably told him, hey, lean towards my dad, or hey, talk to somebody like your friends, like to not have so much of that pressure. Yeah.
For sure. And I know that I've also felt that pressure, but it's also like kind of what Edmy said, like you can't walk up to your spouse and say, hey, I'm going through this, or at least you feel like you can't, because then there's a fear of if she senses weakness, will she really love me? You know what I mean? Will she start to look at me different because I'm coming to her, and trying to, have this conversation with her. Yeah. But I think in having the conversations, it only makes your marriage stronger because you get to see, and I'm over here talking about marriage and I'm getting divorced. So, but you get to kind of see that other person for like the person that they are, like the softer side, because we're all human and we all have issues and we all go through things. And to me, I think it's crazy if you're married with someone or married to someone and y'all never talk about like the tough issues. Like I don't think that's not real neither. Like, and so at some point there has to be a balance, right? Like, yeah, I just can't go to her and just, cry and be vulnerable. But, if I am feeling some type of way, I should be able to walk and have like that conversation without me feeling less than.
And women should understand that too, because I was telling my husband, I feel like, I'm gonna be honest, I mean, me as a woman, I stress out over the smallest things sometimes. I'm at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I could be like, oh my God, I gotta get the dishes done. Oh my God, I gotta get laundry done. And my husband's like, we need to get rent. I need to go, like bigger things, like big life problem things. And I could be at like the couch stressing out. I'm like, babe, I'm kind of freaking out. And he's kind of looking at me like, are you freaking out? Like, I'm freaking out, And I feel like as a woman, I need to take a step back and be like, hey, like, you need to make sure your man's okay too, not just freak out about the little small things that you have.
But see, I don't think they're small things, because if you're not doing them, he comes home, the whole house is in chaos. So there's nothing small about what you do. It is you doing the work, right? And so he's out there, he's bringing up home the money and things of that nature, and you are also working. I think a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids make $110,000 a year. Yeah. Like if you put like money to it,
to the job,
you put money to the job, because that's still a job. And people
very hard job.
People assume that, oh, she's just staying at home and but I mean, it takes a lot of work. I've talked to a lot of men. That's not something they want to do. They'd rather go out there and work versus stay at home with the kids, because the kids are a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So
we could really be with them.
So don't diminish your role as a woman and what you do, because I think that is just as equally as important as what Edmy does.
And that's true, but I think what I was coming at was like, I I freely express my feelings.
Got you.
You know?
Got you.
And he's more like, kind of holds back.
Got you.
And that's where I kind of feel selfish in a way where I'm just like, hold on, Maribel, like, take a step back.
Got you.
And I want to, like, comfort him and be like, because I think we could both meet our needs if I just said, hey, like, you good? Like, love you, have a good day. And then he'll see that and he'll be like, hey, babe, like, I love you too. Like, we just share that bond now.
Got you.
So I feel like women too, I like to talk more about the women's side too, because I feel like a lot of women want to
Feel secure.
Yeah, feel secured, feel loved by their man, and have a high valued man.
Yeah.
But I feel like, a lot of women, like single moms, like, there's a lot of single moms here, and it's just, I told me, how does that get to that point? Do men are just irresponsible, they're not accountable for it or something like that? But I just feel like, I was trying to
So,
I'm sorry. So that's a dilemma, I feel, from a psychological standpoint. It's very hard because women are hardwired to want security and stability. And when a man, the leader, is like, hey, like, I'm stressed out with the bills, for a woman that's not mature and understands her position, like a lot of women nowadays, no offense to anyone, right? But that's how the generation we're being brought up as. When they don't understand their roles, especially men too, and they kind of come to the woman like, hey, this is going on, and I don't know if we're going to make it. The woman starts feeling like, well, I need to get a job now. Well, I need to, and now the whole situation's kind of getting misconstrued. So I don't know how you feel about that, Aaron, but
I think we need to start having conversations about the roles.
Absolutely.
Like
I agree.
People just jump into relationships and they don't set like those standards or like those roles of like, hey, this is what, I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. But also every 6 months, come back and check in and make sure, like, do we, are the roles now changing? Because if they are, then there is no like, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. There's more of a cohesive, type movement. And I was reading a book, because now I want to find ways to build and have a stronger relationship. My next relationship, way down the line.
10 years later.
10 years later. But he talks about weekly meetings, and I'm thinking, when you're at work, they, a lot of your jobs have like weekly meetings, and you sit down and you talk about, what needs to be done, what was done that you didn't like, and so every week there's no misinformation going out there, or you're not assuming things.
Yeah, assuming is a big one.
And then he also talked about coming together and having like a vision plan. I was like, I wish I would have known a vision plan for your relationship. Like what are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to do? Like
in a year, like a 10 year.
Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years, in the next 6 months, in the next year? And that just kind of hold each other accountable for, what it is that you're trying to do. And there is no like back and forth or no issues. You know what I mean? Like, cause now like the communication's there versus like everyone just making assumptions and, this is my road, that's your road, and no one ever talked about what the road was.
We struggled with that in the beginning, especially because we come from like really big Mexican parents where they're like, the wife stays home and the man goes work. And at first I was working and I did not want to be submissive. I was like, I do not want to stay home. At the very beginning, I remember I said, and we would always compete, like not compete, but I'd say like he would like rub it in my face. I make more money than you. I'm like, I don't care. I make more money. Like, and that was so unhealthy for our marriage and like for everything. And literally, like, the last year, I kind of just figured, like, I look at my kids and I look at my home and I'm like, there's so much work that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? Me. I just feel like now I'm more understanding. I still don't like the word submissive. I'm still trying to.
I don't think any woman does, honestly.
It's just, I just feel like, I guess from having a lot of hardships, like, in the past, whatever the case may be, bringing on that hurt, it's just kind of like reminds you of like, no, you got to stay stronger. You got to keep going. But it's like you can't enter a relationship or move on to your marriage if you still have that hurt. You got to heal yourself. You got to make sure you're good you're good to, move
Yeah.
on to the next step or something like that.
But guys have to be submissive as well. Like that's not a woman word because we as men have to be submissive to God and what it is that He's trying,
Yes.
what He's asking us to do. And so, I understand this now. I can't expect anyone to be submissive to me if I'm not submissive to God.
Yeah.
That's
I can't expect anyone to follow me if I'm not a good leader, right? And I
Yes.
think a lot of times men get so upset because their woman isn't following them.
Mm-hmm.
But are you a dude worth
Are
following?
you worthy of following?
Yeah, and if you're not worthy of following, why the hell would she follow you, dude?
Right.
Like, what is the issue?
It's true.
Like, why would
Very
she follow
true.
you down this road and it's a jacked up road and she's just like looking at you like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
Oh, you want to be a ride or die is what you want
Yeah.
to be.
for sure. So yeah, I think that's something that
Needs to be looked at.
it needs to be looked at. Because when we talk about the suicide rate, I think you brought up one issue, and it's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of dudes have like it all wrong and like not right. So we talked about somebody this morning at the gym. No names, right? But I think a lot of guys, their purpose is sex.
Mm-hmm.
Their purpose is chasing after that woman. And then once you get her, there is no like,
Satisfaction.
what am I going to do to keep her?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You did all the work to get her. Now you got her. Now it's like, okay, now I'm done. And so I think the purpose in that is screwed up. I think the purpose in just men going out working and providing, that we need more than just that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, men are not
Mhm.
just the providers. Like we still have emotions and we still have things that we go through, and we have to find like that outlet to where it's not keeping us down, or it's not creating more pressure than it needs to create. So I think that purpose is kind of screwed up, and I think also the purpose has like a man in a relationship. It's it's called machismo, right? Right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you
Oh,
just
yeah.
feel like I am the master of this castle, right? But if you're walking around thinking you're a master of a castle, there's nobody in that castle that's going to like look up to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like you don't master anything. Like master yourself.
Yeah.
You can't control your wife or your kids because they're gonna do whatever the heck they want to do, right?
Right.
And so mastering yourself, then I feel creates a trickle effect that goes down to your wife and to your kids.
That is so true.
And if they look up and see you, doing what you need to do as far as mastery, they have to get in line. I'm just a big believer in that. Like
It's so true.
you have to
because
get in line.
I mean, it happened with us where Edmy started going to church.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing. And I was still just doing my thing. And I mean, I was always a believer in God and everything. And
Yeah.
he believed in God, but he wasn't so much into church. So when he started going to church and getting closer to his faith, literally it like stopped me from my tracks. And I kind of like looked and I'm like, I gravitated towards that.
For sure.
Like that is what I want in a leader and a man. Like it I guess you could say attracted me,
Yeah.
So him just stepping onto that road, like literally it just, you gravitate there. And then my kids started gravitating. And so that's very true what you said. I really do agree on that.
Yeah.
Master yourself, for sure.
Yeah.
Man.
Self-development.
And
You-
submit to God.
You talked about high value men.
Go
So I would like to get y'all's
Uncle Kevin.
ahead, Lupita.
I would
What
like
do
to
you see
get
about
y'all's
high-value men?
definition of high value man. What is a high value man to you?
Oh, well, to me, I think just an honest man
Honest.
and a strong believer who puts God in front of everything before anything. But an honest man would be a high value man in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Give me three give me three values. So honesty is one. A churchgoer.
I feel like
Spiritual
security.
relationship
I wouldn't
with
say
God.
a churchgoer. I would just say somebody
Relationship
that
with God.
a relationship with God.
So
know.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Spiritual,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay, that's two. What's the third one? Lupita.
500K and up.
500K and up in there. Really, I can't think of anything more than an honest man.
Stable?
Got you.
You know,
Stable too, but I think honesty is just a big thing for me. So that's just really what comes to my head whenever I think of that, is an honest man in all aspects of his life, not just with his spouse, but in every single aspect. He's an honest
just be
man.
truthful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you consider dating someone that made less money than you?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
When he would
Stop
think
the cat.
twice.
I think once I have like my career, like I have what I'm wanting to do, once I have that going for myself but my mindset is, I'm a single mom and I've worked, since I was 16. I've never stopped working since. So the way I see it is, as long as I'm able to provide for me and my son, whatever else, everything else will fall into place.
And your dude.
That's just what I think. I mean, if he's working somewhere like,
7-Eleven.
Yeah, so that,
probably not. But
so it
somebody
changes.
that somebody that has knows what he wants with his life, has his
Gotcha.
own path, even
And
if
that's
it's
what I
not
was waiting for.
making him a
Yeah.
millionaire, but he
That
has his
is
own
knowing
path,
what he wants.
knowing what he wants.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what about you?
Mine is a little different than hers, and I think about it because I'm like, what we went through
Mm-hmm. Makes it a lot of.
is different
Uh-huh.
because hers was honesty, but mine's not pretty much that first choice. My first choice would be security. I want to make sure my man has me secured, as in I want to feel like I can come to him. I'm like, hey, babe, I need like this and this and this. He's like, hey, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to feel that comfort. That's my number one thing. My second one being honestly knowing what they want. That same thing, knowing what they want. Hey, babe, like this and that. First of all, I'm a person that does not like planning. I just go show up and we're there,
Facts.
Edmy's what is that?
I'm about that life,
You
man.
just show up and
Yeah.
there you go. Edmy has
We
that.
might go do something like right after this just for fun. You
Bro,
know?
we'll go on vacation. I'll make an itinerary.
There you go. That's
bro.
what it is. So at 5 o'clock we wake up, and at 6 o'clock we. I don't do all that.
I have
And-
everything planned, dude.
6
And
o'clock,
see-
we out the door.
See, and I feel like I need that person. Though.
Facts.
Yeah.
I need him like that because
Yes.
my life is a mess sometimes where my disorganization overwhelms me. So I think with him being the way he is, it kind of that's what I look for in a man. That's what I'm saying. A lot of women are different
Mm-hmm.
and what they want and a man. Some people,
But it all has to do with what they went through.
Because
and
I feel
their
like
own
a lot
path.
of women love a man that cooks and stay home. Like I've seen so many women that
Uh-huh.
let their man stay home while they go work.
Yeah.
And I feel like that. I'm like, I don't know about that.
And there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm saying.
We're
I don't
stop the
prefer
pay
that.
gap, right?
I don't prefer that because I know what I like and
Yeah.
what I am. So if I see a man working hard out there and my man's at home, what am I gonna do? Oh,
Okay.
hey, hi, you work while my man's at home. That's what I'm saying. You gotta really be careful.
But I feel like that's a double standard though too.
Yeah.
though, right? Like if it was a choice that y'all made of he's gonna stay at home and you're gonna work. So
If it's a choice we made together.
so it becomes like that imbalance of like power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Or
I think
roles.
a lot of guys have like that power, and so that's why you see more guys being abusive in the relationship because they think they're bringing home the bacon, so they can like, they have like more say
Yeah.
in what it is that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the roles are reversed, would that be the same thing that a woman would do? And if
I
she
think so.
and if she feels that way, then yeah, she's gonna go out there and be like, well, you ain't doing nothing here, so I'm gonna go out there and kind of get.
See, and that
the
sucks.
It does,
Yeah.
but I guess it's like a immaturity type deal.
Yeah,
it is.
Because I'll tell you right now, I mean that was my issues. Always been my issue.
Yeah.
There was a power imbalance, and I just felt like, because I could. I mean, there was no like explanation of why. It was just because I could. Because
the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, I never questioned myself, and so because I never questioned myself, I just acted on impulse. And I think that people kind of get lost in that sauce of like, they feel that power and they feel like they're above, and so they feel like they can take advantage, and nothing's really going to happen to them when it.
So
it
what gets you to that point though, like of impulse? Like what makes you like? Were you just off the bat like that, or like just little by little you just like
I mean,
it just happens.
Well, I think so. Porn.
Mm-hmm.
Porn plays a big role as far as in men's life and how they view women and objectification and expectation. And so at the age of 10 I was exposed, and I never questioned the urges after the age of 10. Like if I had an urge, I would just take care of it. If that was either me watching porn or me going to masturbate in the bathroom, or me finding somebody that is willing to let me in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Give you a little tug and rub.
Yeah, right. But and the crazy part is like it's never been hard for me. Like it's never like been like an issue where I would go months or years, like there was always somebody that was like out there, because I'm somewhat charismatic. I think I said that word. And I'm caramel, you know what I mean?
You're Stefan. What is it? Is it Stefan?
Stefan.
Hey, who's that?
It's not black, I'm caramel. But yeah, I just think it's one of those like things where, I never, and so now that I'm questioning it, I started to realize I was having sex without purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in like the stage of life where I'm not having sex without purpose. Like there has to be purpose. I'm not just going to just go out there and just like
and that wastes
have
like
sex
your energy.
just to have. It does,
yeah.
Because you're chasing, and then once you chase, it's like all right, and on to the next one.
What now?
But then that just like literally like drains you. Like
it does.
Just give it something.
And I'm a strong believer in soul ties too.
For sure.
When you interchange like that, like what you bring into yourself as well.
That's very true.
100%. You're always taking a piece of that person with you. Yeah.
And tapping in, to me, it's more on my personal side, because I never really talked about it. I only talked about it to Edmy, but just as men had a difficult time with porn, women do too. I had a difficult time. For sure. I was exposed to it like at 10 or 12, So it's just, it sucks because, in my childhood, it all connects to where I had childhood, trauma where, I was abused when I was little, and it's just that little thing just became bigger and bigger, porn, bigger. And as a woman, you never feel like you're enough. You're never enough. So you just turn to that and turn to that. And you do have, different expectations for men too. You see them and, not want to say use them, but you just get kind of numb. Yeah. Like you just don't care. Yeah. And that, I feel like the outlet for that for me was really just, honestly, just stopping cold turkey for me. Like, just knowing that there's something better than just that, Yeah. And pouring into myself and speaking a lot of positivity, because that's who I am. I'm always like, girl, you got this. Girl, you got this.
There's a saying. I don't know if you remember, Aaron, when we were at the competition, or you were there too at the competition.
Games.
I read it and it said, "A man without purpose will fill his time with pleasure."
100%.
And I think that hit me so hard.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like we can get lost in not knowing how to cope with trauma, that we use other things to. That's one of the biggest things that I want to talk about too. Yeah. And my thing, is how to get over trauma healthy.
Yeah.
Childhood trauma healthy. Yeah. Because people pick up these vices like, there's drugs, there's alcohol, but the sex, like you're talking about, dude, like that's a big one too.
I mean, honestly, I think sex is like a drug.
I think it's the biggest one that no one wants to talk about. Like no one wants to talk about it.
It's embarrassing. Like to me, it was embarrassing for a while. Like, I had like a woman watching porn and masturbating. Like that's like big. Like, only men do it, and it
No,
was
women do it too.
Yeah, no, and I feel like now this generation is being okay with it.
Yeah.
And it's being exposed and it's being, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, I had a hard time,
Yeah.
and it's not even, now I'm saying, like, now social media is affecting a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
It's so easier now than it was back then.
Yeah.
You know what I think is going on? I feel like there's way more stuff against us than there is for us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like everything is designed to kind of keep us sedated.
Zombies.
Sedated,
Yeah,
zombies.
100%.
And
Sedated.
we need to wake up and we need to realize we need to get ahead of the curve, like with the whole social media thing, like she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We still have issues with that, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're married, like hey, why are you liking that girl's pic? Hey, why are you posting a selfie? Hey, why?
So why
like,
is your
you get what
friend
I'm
this
saying?
Stupid
full of
little-
single
Like,
men?
how do we navigate this stuff? Like
Yeah.
it was presented to us. It's like the I don't want to say Pandora's box, but when they bring fire, you
Mhm.
know, in Greek mythology,
Mhm.
when they gave humans fire, but all the damage that it causes as well.
Yeah.
It could bring light, but it
technology
could
is the
bring
same way
damage.
in everything that we're being exposed to. So
For sure.
Mhm.
yeah,
For sure. So it's No Nut November, right?
I lost.
Yeah. I also lost too.
Did you have your
It's
last?
okay. We got like
I lost.
5 more days.
No. Like you're not supposed
No,
to.
I haven't.
You're not
I've been
supposed to nut at all whatsoever in November. And I 100% the 6th, the 19th, and then this
An hour
weekend,
ago,
and then this weekend.
Like 45 minutes ago.
But it was just
prior to you guys showing up.
but it was right. But it was one of those things where like I'm now more aware.
Yeah.
Like going through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
This is the loneliest I've ever felt in my entire life because not only am I going through a divorce, but I also stopped, drinking alcohol, and I also said I was going to stop nutting, right? So people are like, so you're not drinking and you're not having sex or watching porn,
You're
like
so miserable.
you're a social pariah. Like no one wants to be around you. You know what I mean? Like
And
no
you
one,
start-
no one.
Squid
Yeah,
Games.
right. No one's gonna want to be around you. You know what I mean? And so like,
That's not true.
so people have like distanced themselves from me, right? But I think that's what I needed to like figure out and find myself because
Yes.
I'm coming into like a new person, and so like essentially I didn't know who I was. I just simply didn't. I just, I was thoughts and if I felt something, I just did it. And now there's a, I'm thinking about it and stuff now. And so there were times where, I wanted to pick up the phone and call, somebody like, hey, you can come over here and just let's hang out.
Netflix.
Yeah,
And chill.
Netflix and fuck. Well, I'll take that off.
Hey,
Cause there ain't no chilling, man. I don't believe in chilling. I'm
Netflix-
straight up, like,
Netflix gonna be like, are you still there?
Are you still there?
Are you still there?
You know what clapping them cheeks behind.
I think
Clapping
it takes a
cheeks.
lot
Shout
of
out
courage
Andrew.
though to say to do what you're doing because I also went through a divorce. My divorce was finalized in May. And for me it was super hard, but my emotions I never really showed them. I never processed them.
She sure did.
And I went through this kind of I went through waves, but I went through this long wave where I was just at a low point in my life. And I think Edmy and Maribel saw it from like a distance. But I just felt like I was going through this. I went through a bad, low phase where I was getting away because I felt like, I wasn't loved and I wanted to love myself. But I wasn't loving myself. Like I was doing more damage to myself than when I was married. It didn't come until like a few months ago where I started picking up the true meaning of what it means to love yourself and care for yourself, I didn't do that. I went down the drinking and going out and having sex. I mean, I was doing all of that.
No, I did that, and I figured like, okay, this is because I know me. I'm a slut, so it's just straight up like that. Just straight up, and so like whenever we were getting divorced, like the first,
First
two months, like
Damn.
2 months. I just was like, I was drunk, like every day.
Coco
Oh my
Bongo.
goodness.
I was spending money. I was, having like unprotected sex. It was just like, it was just crazy. And then I just, one day I almost wrecked my new car that I just got. And then God was like, bro, sit your ass down somewhere. Like sit down.
Damn.
And I had to sit down and like really process everything. And that's when I was like, so no more alcohol. And so like, I'm a month and a half sober.
So good.
Awesome.
Pay attention to like who are your, again, the purpose. You don't have, just don't have sex just to have sex. If you're gonna have sex, have it with a purpose. Like let that be someone that you're intending to
Investing.
invest
Time
in and work
good.
with and things of that nature versus
good.
just going out there just because you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the point of doing that? And then you're wasting time and energy on something that you could be doing. And then pay attention to like the porn and the masturbation, because that's something that you've been struggling with since age 10. And so now there's awareness, and I'm working towards it, because I just know like that's going to make me be like the best man possible. And I at the end of the day, like I want to be the best man possible. Like God put me on this a high value man.
What's your definition of a high value man, Eric?
So a high value man for me is someone who is open and vulnerable. So Lupita, there was I think it was called Crazy Faith. There's a book. And Pastor Todd also dealt with porn and things. So he dealt with porn and stuff. But one thing that he said that it just stuck with me was hot, humble, open, transparent.
Yeah.
As a high value man, if I am humbled, if I am open and I'm transparent, then me being humble, I'm not just trying to speak and not listen. So I'm sitting down, I'm listening to what it is that person is saying, and then either
Providing
process
feedback.
it or provide feedback. Being open, I think it comes with honesty. I can tell you right now, I'm the freest I've ever felt in my life, because everyone knows my business now. Like everyone knows my business, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not like
That's
some.
good.
But I think it's what needs to happen in order for you to live your best life.
Damn.
Because you will
It's
never.
true. Nobody can tell you anything.
Yeah.
You already said it.
I've already said it. Like you can't tell me like you ain't
Nope.
shit. Well, okay, I know I ain't
Or,
shit. Goddamn,
I heard Aaron this and that.
Yeah.
Because you already said it.
Yeah. Oh, he
You're
cheated on his wife. Yes.
Mhm.
I have accepted it.
Damn.
And I am trying to be
Better.
a better person.
And
right?
it shows.
100%.
It shows.
So, but
I'm
yeah,
proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you, for
I
sure.
think that's what to me a high value man is: being humble, being open, and being transparent, in everything that you
That's
do.
good.
Yeah, I like that.
It just makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
So I'm not running around.
Let me put that on my list.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of nice little nuggets.
But yeah, no, I just know that I don't have to run around and like, and
that's a problem that I have though.
Uh-huh.
As a woman, like I am like, but what do they know? You think they're saying something
dude,
like that is so hard on
Yeah.
me, and I'm
Yeah.
still struggling with that. I'm still trying to like.
Bro, she'll
Even
be
if it
like
happens,
5
it
days later,
happens.
like, hey, I didn't say hi to that guy. You think he's blocked me on Facebook already?
No, even as a guy, just anybody like.
She is
I
like
think
that.
so hard, like,
You
man, I
overthink.
didn't say hi to that person, and she didn't look at my way. Do you think like she's mad? Like,
Mhm.
just stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's just like a big old, I don't know what it is. Is it an insecurity? I don't know, but it's just something that I'm just like,
that's
Maribel, like,
insecure.
It might
if it
be,
happens, it happens. Just let it happen.
Let
And
it happen.
what I need to remind myself is, Maribel, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know your heart. You know who you are as a friend, as a daughter, as a mother, as a wife.
Mhm.
Don't be
Moana.
so hard on yourself, you know?
Moana, bro, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you think about you, Edmy? High value man. What do you?
Oh, he
think
hot
that
for
is?
sure, man.
That's my baby.
That's my baby.
No.
Nah, don't say that
Oh,
about yourself. No, you're
that I'm
hot.
not hot. Oh, I thought you said hot.
You are
Okay, never
hot.
mind. I'm just gonna be
Wow.
I think a high value man is someone that knows what he wants, and is not very indecisive.
Yeah.
Check.
Also is is humble, dude. That's
Yeah.
very important, I think, in a man. And,
Yes.
and obviously, the last one would be, I think, for me, assertive. But assertive, not in a bad way, but just,
Not in
I
a-
guess it goes back to the
Well,
knowing what he wants.
Okay, so
Knowing what he wants.
if you're saying assertive can't be in a bad way.
Okay.
Aggressive is where it is
Yes.
in a bad way, or passive is in a bad way. But if you're saying assertive, like there's no like bad way to be assertive.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, I
From,
guess
from my
not.
from
I
my
guess not.
perspective,
I
yeah,
guess
there's no
not.
bad way to be assertive.
It's just, you could get anyone offended nowadays, I guess. You know,
But that's has nothing to do with you though.
it has to do with
It
that.
has everything to do with them. I mean, I'm assertive all the damn time. I mean, it's what if you don't like it, stop listening to it. Like
if
I
you don't
can't
like
help.
it,
Yeah.
then it's a personal problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my issue. It's your issue. And even in relationships, you know, you might be assertive and tell her something, and she might not like it. You don't have to go down that road that she's going down, because it's only going to create more chaos. Because she's pissed off, and now you're pissed off, and now you're gonna say something. Now she's gonna say something. Now y'all ain't there fighting over some dumb shit that you could just said and walked away, or she could have said and just walked away, because it was something that you needed to hear in the first place, right?
I'm like, now wait a damn minute.
Yeah.
Wait a damn minute. You said what?
But yeah, I like that. So assertive is one.
Assertive for sure.
And I think that's another issue with guys. I don't think guys are assertive.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I think they have issues with being assertive.
We've talked about this so many times. There's a rise in masculine women
Yeah.
and a rise in feminine men.
Yeah.
And I think it's a systematic issue because we're being programmed to be. See, the man is being oppressed, dude. I
Yeah.
really do believe that.
That's
100%.
true, though. I never saw it until he said it.
You know, this is weird. My dad is very machista. And I used to think it was bad, like toxic and everything, but I'm like, a man's job is supposed to be assertive and not move.
Yeah.
And there's machista where you beat a woman and you like abuse your power that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But my dad just defends his opinion and without offending anyone.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking something dumb. It was about dogs. My dad doesn't like dogs. He's like, in my presence, I don't want to see any dogs, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, Dad, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, it's just a dog. And then I started thinking, like, bro, every man that I know is being like, if you're opposing something, or if you're not in the same thing, everyone's just pushing you out, or you're toxic, or you're masculine, and all this stuff. And I feel, more men need to be assertive,
Yeah.
kind and assertive.
Yeah. I think it's boundaries. Like your dad is setting boundaries. Like
Exactly.
People
You're
don't
right.
know how to
You're right.
set boundaries. And one of my biggest issues in my marriage was there was no boundary set. There's just no boundary set. And so like when anything popped off, it would just go down that hill. It would just go down that hill.
With nothing stopping
With
it.
nothing stopping it. But now knowing like there should be boundaries set. If this is said, hey, let's go ahead and have that conversation, right? Like what your dad said. I don't want any dogs around in my presence. Guess what?
Boundary.
Now you know. Don't bring a damn dog around your dog, or around your dad. Or there's going to be issues. You know what I mean? Like he's being assertive and he's setting those boundaries. And I feel like people are afraid to set like
Boundaries.
healthy boundaries because like they don't want to offend anybody.
No, they don't want to feel, what is it called, trapped. I feel like a woman doesn't want to feel like, for an example.
Okay.
I can't go out anywhere as like in a bar or club without my husband.
For sure.
That is a boundary we set together.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a lot of women won't agree with me. Like, girl, you can't have a girls' night without your man. And it's like, that's a boundary I set with my husband.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of women who hear that, it's like, oh, so you're just going to stay locked up with your man. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to feel like, oh, you know, I don't have no liberty. I can't go out with my girls. And it's just like,
trust me, girl. I saw you had Edmy. You had all kinds of liberty.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with my husband.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's okay with that. I talk to him like, hey, are you okay with me?
Yeah,
Baby, you go ahead and have fun.
Yeah.
Just as long as I'm there with you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And that's the boundary we set.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, shoot, I don't mind. Like, I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
My boo right there with me.
I gotta,
better,
like-
he drives me home.
I gotta like sedate myself heavily, you know.
No, that's what I mean.
But see,
I feel
but I
a lot
like
of women
that,
don't
though.
wanna
That's
feel,
cool, yeah.
you know,
100%.
trapped or something.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
You know, I'll never forget this. I don't know if this applies or not, but when we were going through a hard part in our marriage, we kind of took a separation break, and I would go to her dad a lot for advice because he would come to me for advice. It's kind of weird, right? But anyways, I would go to advice and like, hey, what do I do? And, you know, she's not
How can I
wanting to
get your
talk to
daughter
me.
back?
I would call him. Then we would have a family function, and like Maribel would do like a 360, and like she would like blow kisses at me, and like would hug me. I know it's TMI probably, whatever. And I would look at her dad, and I'm like, damn, he probably thinks we're crazy or stupid or something. And you know what he said? Because I asked him, because he was looking at me, and I was like, hey, Pac, you probably think we're like crazy or something, huh? He's like, you know what, mijo? It doesn't matter what I think as long as you and Maribel understand each other. I was like, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And from then on, I don't really care what anyone has to say about our relationship as long as me and her are on the same page.
Yes.
And, you know, I think sometimes a big help is the village, the people that are around you, the family and friends that you're surrounded with have a lot
Wise counsel,
to do
as the
with
Bible states,
your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to pick friends and family wisely whenever you're married.
Very true. I had friends that when I was going through separation, they're like, leave him.
Bro, my parents are divorced and they were telling me to leave her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But her parents are together. They told me to stay strong.
Yeah.
You know, hold on to faith, pray, and just work on myself. And like you said, like mastering yourself, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Very true.
Everything falls into place.
It does.
It sure do.
Was that it? You have something else, Pita?
No.
So this question would be towards you, Lupita. She's been quiet as hell. I don't
she was
understand.
like,
Yeah, I don't understand. She
Put
talked
the
all
voice, you
this.
have to do the voice.
Right. She talked all the trash. You know what I mean? And she put it in front of a mic. She's like, So one of the issues I feel men have that women don't have is women.
I'm just playing.
There she go. There she go.
She coming.
I feel like women know how to cultivate relationships better than men. They know how to grow relationships. They're not afraid to go and, you know, get the nails, mani-pedi, go watch movies together or whatever. And I feel like if a guy does it, he feels weird or gay or whatever it is that, you know, the guy wants to feel. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. I'm not saying that like in a negative term.
Oh, yeah.
But that stuff that just gets thrown out there in society. So why do you think it's harder for men to cultivate relationships?
I think it's a lot to do with being like the man, like of the household. Like you're just your focus is just making, like, providing. I think men also lose focus of not just being the provider, but also having that stability with their spouse and doing those things with them. Like a lot of marriages lose that, where they just, I mean, if both the wife and the husband are working, they're both it's easier for, I don't know, I'm just saying this. I've never been a stay-at-home mom, but whenever I was married and we were both working, we were always both working, we lost sight of that. Both of us did. Me too, as a woman. It wasn't, I would, every now and then we would have these times, but it was very rare. We were just going with life, just working, just lost track of each other,
Gotcha.
That makes sense. What I like to add on that is, like, I was telling my husband, is I feel like women are better at that only because, when a man goes out and works and whatever brings the money in, women take that and spread it. So meaning, like, I don't expect him to plan. He says spending, but I don't expect him to. I expect him to, hey, we're going to have a movies, and hey, let's go get our nails done, or our toes done, whatever the case may be. And that's just cool and all. But I feel like he kind of takes it upon me to do it, as in, like, because I know how can I explain it? But I kind of just spread it, as in give a
Torrid.
give a woman a house. She makes a
She makes it a home. Yeah.
you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I feel like that's why it's just I'm gonna say it's just a gender role that's what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. I got you. I also think that a high value man is a man who needs to knows how to cook, knows how to clean,
Hey,
knows
That's
how
true.
to knows
And
how
a
to
clean, but let me
takes care of
tell you.
themselves.
That's true.
Because like you shouldn't be like 50 years old and not knowing any of that stuff.
True.
Like you should know how to wash your drawers, just in case something happens to your wife and you're not,
Mhm.
you're not going to your mom's or going somewhere to try to get, your clothes washed because you don't know how to throw clothes in the washer and the dryer
Basic
and stuff. Like
necessities.
it's basic. Like I feel like a lot of men don't even try to like cultivate those like basic necessities that they need to have in order to live.
Because I
Just in
think they
case.
think it's. I mean, it's for a lot of them, it's a woman's role to do that.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
that's their mindset.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think.
I mean, I
that's an
teach my
issue.
boys now to wash their clothes, vacuum.
Yeah,
You know, they have chores at home they have to do, which I would want them to have a wife to take care of them. But it's just in case
yeah,
anything happens, he knows what he has to do.
yeah, for sure. All right, what do you think, Edmy?
On
Cultivating relationships.
I do think that women are multipliers, like Maribel said.
Okay.
Whatever you give a woman, she'll multiply. Just like everything from a home all the way
Kids.
to kids.
Baby.
whatever. So I do feel like they are better at managing. There's some things that men were never meant to do and women were never meant to do. Like we have our responsibilities and our roles, like Maribel said, gender roles.
Mhm.
A man can't bear a child, but women can. So I think naturally women are more
Nurturing.
prepared and
Yeah.
nurtured, prepared.
It comes more
to-
naturally
Yeah.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Us, we're just kind of like, hey, let's get it done. Come over here. We got to do this. We got to do that. We're not like, honey, you got to
Y'all
go.
are messy. No, I'm just kidding.
So, but I agree with you on a man. I'm sorry, that was weird.
No, it's just.
But I agree with you on a man being able to do the basic things for himself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of men that can't. So,
Yeah. I think we have issues cultivating because we're not taught how to have relationships. I feel like a lot of dudes can get together and not talk about shit. Talk about football, talk about sports, talk about
Oh,
women,
yeah.
talk about porn,
crap that doesn't
Women
make
crap
choose
that
sometimes.
doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't. It's never deep. Like I feel like women, like
We have deeper
there are times
conversations.
where it's deep. Guys it's always superficial. And if we're going through something, there's no way in hell I'm telling my guy friend.
Well, I feel like I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Most
got
of my
you.
friends are. We have conversations of elevation constantly, dude. And Maribel gets annoyed because all I want to talk about is like, hey, what's your plans? Hey, let's do this. Hey, what are you doing over here?
Yeah.
Like, I want to do something that's gonna make us better.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to surround myself with successful people because
100%.
I agree 100% that you are a product of what you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows. I have friends that I don't remember who I was talking to about this. Was it you? I don't remember. Dude, I have so many friends. Like his dad owns several restaurants here in Odessa, and he's in jail right now
Yeah.
for like a beer run. And growing up, dude, like they would pick us up from school on a loaded Navigator. We would watch movies, go to the restaurant, eat badass, and go to his house, mansion. And their dads were like, dude, I wanted to build him a business, but he just wanted to party and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the people that you surround yourself have a lot to
Has
do
a
with.
lot to do with it. Yeah.
So I guess from my perspective, from what I see a lot of, there's a lot of men who have a hard time picking up the phone and calling a friend and saying, hey, let's go to the movies, or hey, I need help with this, or hey, let's go bowling, or like, cultivating that relationship where it's just not about, football or anything of that nature. Like we've had those conversations, but it's never been like a "Hey, Edmy, what are you doing?" type shit. Hey, come holler at me. It's always been like I see you, and we get down to like those conversations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Always, dude.
Always. Versus, if you're going through something, if I'm going through something, and maybe Maribel can't be that person for you, and you don't have anyone else to speak to, instead of, carrying that weight and trying to do it yourself, you call up a friend and you say, hey, can we go do this or go do that? Super hard for men to do. And I feel like with women, if they're going through something, super easy to be like, girl, I come holler at me. Wine.
Bring a bottle of wine.
Hold on.
Bring a bottle of wine. I
Oh, goodness. It's true though. That's very, very true. And I told me, I was like, that I don't want to say I feel sorry for men, but I was like, I never saw that in men. I was like, y'all are fine, y'all are good. But then to think that, like, wow, like, they don't have anybody to go through. Like, they probably do have friends. I thought maybe you have friends. What are you doing? You could talk to somebody. But it's kind of just like, yeah, but they don't care. He thinks they don't care.
He thinks he don't care. It's also just super weird, though.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
It's just weird.
Let's not make it weird no more.
So it's something that I'm trying to, like, change, right? So I want to start a men's group. I'm going to be looking for, like, 5 to 10 guys. 20 weeks. We're going to read a book. And then we're going to just come together weekly and just talk about life. So every other week, we're going to read the book. So you got 2 weeks to damn read the book. You should, for one chapter, like, it shouldn't be that hard, right? 14 days. Then the other week, we'll just get together and we'll just kind of talk about, how to deal with insecurities, how to deal with, the roles that are now being played in like the household and things of that nature. So it's something that I'm like, I want to do. I just need to go ahead and do it. Stop being scared.
No, you should. Like, Aaron, I tell him all the time, what you're doing is so freaking good because I'm like, a lot of these men, boys, whatever the case, didn't grow up with the dad.
Yeah.
Didn't grow up with any man figure.
Yeah.
So they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like with somebody like Edmy, like you, that says like, hey, like, I grew up like this and like that, but society tells you this and that. They need to hear that.
For sure.
They really do. So. For
sure. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do it soon. But I want to see how it is. Well, you're single, girl, so there's gonna be some single. I'll say, but I'm a man.
Oh goodness.
You're a what man? Okay. So last question, and I'll let y'all go. I'm sorry, this is one that I didn't let y'all know beforehand. But
Dun, dun, dun.
What impact do you want to leave on this earth?
Ooh.
And I'll give y'all like a few seconds. You can take your time or whatever. But
what impact?
And I'll go because I don't think I've ever answered the question. And so people don't. I've already thought about this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to have 1 million people at my funeral. I want to impact and change as many lives as possible through being real and being open and being honest, being vulnerable about my issues and my struggles, and I want that to then change a man, and then because it changed a man, it helped create a stronger family household, and it also trickled down to the kids, and the kids are now living a different life, and it's a generational thing, and so I really want to touch the lives of people to where they're breaking generational curses because of the light that God put in me, and I'm just being a vessel and just saying like, hey, you don't have to go down this route. You don't have to do these things because there's a better way or another way you can do it. And so that would be like my impact that I want to leave on this world.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think my impact would be how I make people feel. It's kind of weird, but I feel like I've been doing that to where it's like I walk into the room and I'm just like, hi. And I literally get so much feedback from people and I don't even know. They're like, dude, like you made my day. You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I could just say, hey, you look so good today. You look beautiful. And it's like, dude, I was really having a bad day, but that made me feel good.
Yeah.
Just knowing that those little things that I leave little impacted in people just because of who I am and because I really do believe, hey, you look so good today, because I know they probably don't get that a lot. And how the world is today and everything, I honestly feel like I want to leave an impact of how I make people feel. Gotcha. And knowing that, like, hey, I've never felt this before, but because that person came in and told me that, I feel that way now. Now I want to go spread it. Now I want to feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make it, what is it? Reaction to chain effect.
Yeah. The ripple effect.
Ripple effect. There it goes.
I think my impact would be, honestly, it would be towards women, like to honestly love themselves. I think a lot of us don't. Mm-hmm. Not all of us, but for the most part, we don't truly love ourselves. And I think that would be I would want to leave that impact with other women, that you can make it out of a dark place and you can go through hardships, but you can pick yourself back up and you can love yourself. You know, you can value yourself. That would be the impact I would want to make in women.
Gotcha. Awesome.
I think for me, it would be kind of relating with Lupita. I want to be a wise source of counsel for men. You know, I want to be a leader in my family too. I want to be, coming from divorced parents, I want to keep my family together more than anything. I want to raise my boys to be men, God-fearing men, and for them to be good. That's nothing outside of my control, but whatever I can and whatever God puts His hand on, I want to at least elevate in one way or another.
I think I would see it the same way, because even though now I'm divorced and I'm divorced to the father of my son, I'm a single mom now. I grew up with parents that were married, and my ex-husband grew up with parents that were married. So I would like for that, like to show people, I hate that word divorce, you know, and whenever I hear it, you can see somebody and they can say, oh, I'm getting a divorce, but whenever you've gone through it, there's like a different, you feel for them, because you know, even though they look happy and they're saying, yeah, F him or F her, or I'm better off without them, whatever, you know that they're not okay. You know that they're gonna go through, or if not already going through this, you know, bad
trials and tribulations.
Yes. So I mean, even though I'm divorced, I would want to leave that impact where, you know, divorce is not the answer. There's not, I mean, obviously sometimes that's what it comes down to, you know, but what it means to be married, I really didn't know what that meant until I got a divorce, you know?
Damn, that's good. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Me too. Damn it. I didn't know what it meant to be married. you get divorced, you're like, God damn it, man.
No, it's true. No, I know what you got until it's gone.
Jesus.
The single life ain't fun. I see y'all. I'm like, dang.
I feel for y'all are good people, and I feel like sometimes divorce is just people with trauma, dude, that went into a relationship and it exposed it.
Yes.
And sometimes they did harm to one another without even.
Some people don't even know how to handle
without
it.
even trying to do harm to one another.
Do you have to leave?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh.
Because you did bring up that question, and we never really had a conversation about
Which one?
About the childhood trauma and how to deal with it.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like the childhood trauma is something that does get exposed in a relationship. I mean, it exposed literally 6 years later.
Everything.
We were married 6 years later. My childhood got exposed literally like last year. I was like, oh my God, I do have a problem. Like, like you, like that's what I'm saying, Aaron. I kind of relate with you a lot because I'm like, I was just fine, handy dandy, and then the cheating started. I cheated, you know, and I felt numb at some point where it was just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm cheating, why don't I leave the poor man? Like,
then
it came to where it's just like, hey, like this happened. He's like, well, I got to tell you something too. So I'm like, so we just out here just doing things, you know, we just out here having fun. so when that happened, it's like, oh wow. So we both took a step back and we're like, wait a minute, like this is a make it or break it. Like, this is enough
Yeah.
to have a divorce.
To justify it.
Yeah.
To justify, like, hey, like, we both hurt each other. But
to be honest with each other, takes a
Yeah.
lot.
I was like, or we can just, all right, we exposed it. What are we going to do about it?
You wanna know the
Yeah.
Now we're going
craziest
to work
thing?
on it.
We never really talked about this publicly. I don't even know whatever, but for the longest time during our separation, I knew something was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have proof, but I felt it in my core.
Because guys have intuition just like
Yes,
women do,
just like women.
but guys just don't want to like use it or whatever.
Soul ties, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you, I believe 100% in that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I didn't know nothing. So when he told me, I was like, wait a damn minute. What? Like, you know, but, you know, it hurt me. But then I was like, all right, what are we going to do? Are we going to move on? We're going to do? I was already kind of like, I don't know, you know. So we kind of just worked on it. You know, we just said, hey, let's put it in God's hand. And believe it or not, God
It
saved our
worked.
marriage.
You know what? Let me ask y'all a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're doing the whole child trauma, but what would your advice be if someone like your friend Aaron came and like, hey, I want to get married. What do you think? What would you say?
I believe in the institution of marriage. I am a hopeless romantic. I think,
Oh.
yeah, 100%. Like, I love, like, all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, the flowers and, like, you know, just doing things for that other person.
Romantic, all that stuff.
So, like, I 100% believe in love. And it's sad because, like, I didn't really know how to love.
Mm.
I knew that there was a lot of love in me.
That's
in
good.
my previous marriage, I just didn't know it. There was so much that was ahead of it. So much trauma, so much issue, so much, you know,
It didn't work out.
addictions and
Process.
things of
It
that nature.
It pressed it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't love her the way that
She deserves
She
it.
deserved.
she deserved to be loved. And
I like
so
how we said it.
so yeah, like I'm 100% like if someone wants to get married, I would tell them to do the work first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do the work first. Make sure that you at least know the demons that you're dealing with.
Know who you are.
Yeah, I didn't know the demons that I was dealing with
Exactly.
until we already got into the marriage, and I realized like, oh shit, you know what I mean? It wasn't just like one or two, it was, you know, 4 or 5, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now like I'm trying to take it to her, and she's like, the fuck?
She
You know what I mean? Like, nah, I didn't-
I didn't sign up for
demon.
that.
Do I look like a demon saying
yeah,
to you?
right. I didn't get married to this. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those things where
Hey, but love is a sacrifice, though.
100%. But it's one of those things where like, you know, hey, like this, like I came into it one way, and then, you know, I'm now learning and growing and trying to figure things out, and now I understand like, okay, this is who I am, and this is what I'm trying to do to change.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I would 100% say if you find someone that is worthy of that love, you know, I think a lot of issues is men stay in relationships because of sex. So
Access.
I was doing
Comfortability.
I taught a class. It was an accountability class for men who've been abusive, right, for 4 years. Most men knew that relationship was shit, but a lot of them stayed because of sex. They assumed that they wasn't going to get it ever again, or it was just they stayed, and because they stayed, they became abusive. There's a lot of men who became abusive in my class because they didn't get out of that relationship because of sex.
That's crazy.
And people really don't think about, like, with men, like it's a big deal. And I can tell you right now, that was one of the biggest issues in mine. But also there was porn and there was other women involved. And so like, who would want to have sex with them? Who would want to have sex with somebody who's, you know, watching porn or going out there getting his fix from somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not happening. And then because it's not happening, it's that cycle. Okay, you don't want to.
You stay trapped.
You know what I'll just go out there and just make it happen. I mean,
Right,
that's just what it is. Like, that's just
Yeah, he said that.
that's just
You
what
will
I
find it.
do. I will 100% find it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm not looking for it, I will find it. You know, there were times where I wasn't looking for it. And it was like, hey. And I was like, what's up?
What's cracking?
That's it. I mean, it was that simple with me, like back in the day. And
Rico
so,
Suave.
no, it wasn't even that. It was
the fun.
it was just like, you know, people know what, you know.
The vibe.
Yeah, they know how to, not people. The devil knows how to put people in front of you to trip you up.
That's good.
100%.
And so I had the choice to be like,
Nope.
no, I'm running away,
Right.
or I'm jumping into
In
it.
the door.
And I have, me and Pastor Cliff was talking, and y'all hear it in the podcast, but I have a David spirit.
A David?
A David. You know how David, you know, David just was a smasher. You know what I mean? Like,
You know about David.
He had the
David saw Bathsheba on the roof, wanted her, called her over there, you know, got it, killed her husband, married her. I mean, he had like, you know, he had issues. David had a lot of issues, right? And I think that's one of my issues that I have is what David had, you know, where it was just sex. In the Bible, the only reason how they knew David was dead is when they put a young girl next to him, and his dick didn't get hard.
Shut up.
100%.
Is that true?
100%. That's when they knew, like, oh, okay, he's dying. 100%. So at an old age, I'm going to have to reference it in the podcast, so y'all don't think I'm lying. But yeah, so you know, in order for them to know that he was dying, that's what they did. They put a young girl next to him, and and because he didn't move. That's whenever they knew, like, okay, he's on his deathbed.
He dying, guys.
Yeah.
He dying.
Aaron, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to do that for Aaron.
But yeah, but I think that's the big issue that no one really talks about.
Yeah.
Where sex is such a big thing for men, and I'm pretty sure for women, but for men it's thrown at us to where you just have to. Like, if you're not having sex, like, you're a punk, or you're a pussy, or, you know, you're weird. You know what I mean? Like, I'm teaching, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and that's all they run around talking
Well, now
about.
that you say that, it might be an insecurity in men, dude.
100%.
Oh, yeah. A big insecurity.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to flip anyone.
Because why? Go more into that.
I think it's an insecurity. I mean, for women or men, because let me reference it back to whenever I was cheating.
Uh-huh.
I remember I would tell him, like, oh, I don't feel good. I'm fat. I'm this and that. But yeah, I can still expose my body to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Maribel, that's an insecurity of yours, is to say, like, you yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Another man can look at you. He can look at you. It don't matter. But you yourself are not comfortable in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like whenever you're out looking for something else, it's just like a quick, what is it called? Like a quick Band-Aid. You know, it's like, here you go.
Facts.
And then once they rip it out, it's like, oh, ouch. And then you're like, well, I'm going to go back again, quick fix. And then you're going to go back. You start getting addicted to it.
Yeah.
You're getting addicted to it and getting more to it.
Yeah.
So I feel, honestly, it is an insecurity.
I think the mastery of oneself is very important in a man's life, dude.
100%.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because if you don't master yourself,
That's true.
like the
Don't
life
put the
that
bait
you
at the
live,
end. Don't put bait at the end.
for sure.
That's a man joke. I don't know what's going on. What do you mean put the bait at the end?
Put the bait and you're going to get hooked every
Master.
time. I was thinking about the other
Oh.
one. I was thinking about don't put the
look,
bait at
men
the
don't
end.
know
I was
what
like,
I'm
oh,
saying.
because
No, I was saying master and then don't put
the bait.
Master
Oh,
bait.
okay.
Oh.
Oh, wow. We're so,
Hey,
Y'all
go
get
ahead
it?
and head out.
I'm going to clap on that one, boss. Clapping them cheeks. But no, I think this is a good conversation. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, because we were supposed to have like 15 minutes ago. I do want to jump into it real quick. I do want to talk about childhood traumas.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you, as a person, deal with those traumas? How do you not, or if you do bring them into, the relationship, how do you put them in the forefront to let the person know, like, hey, this is what it is, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm working on. Because I feel like a lot of people, like, they just jump into this shit, not really knowing, you know, this is the trauma that I have, this is the trauma that I have, and then you just kind of growing and trying to figure it out.
So, if I can go first, that's a very good question because I feel like a lot of people don't even know what trauma looks like, dude, to be honest with you. So the first step is identifying. And how do you identify? When things aren't going right in your relationship.
Ooh,
that's when you start to realize, like, man, is there something wrong with me? Because the first thing we do is, something's wrong with her.
Yep.
Instead of looking like, hey, no, something's wrong with me.
Facts.
And slowly but surely, time, and I feel God will start revealing to you what's right and wrong. And I think the first step in working through your childhood trauma is identification.
Exposing it.
And exposing it, yeah. So identifying what you're doing wrong and exposing it and then finding the right help. Like, a lot of men are afraid to go to therapy, dude. Maribel was afraid to go to therapy.
I sure was. I don't want to expose my trauma.
I want to go to therapy. Like, even if I'm not having an issue right now, just to know a professional that understands psychology, tell me what's wrong with me. Tell me how I can be better.
And I think it's really important. Whenever me and my ex it was leading towards separation, he wanted to push for therapy, and we tried therapy years prior, but it was always him. Like, and I see it now as a man. That's a big deal for a man to get out of his comfort zone and say, hey, let's do therapy. Even if for them it's like the last resort, you know, like they're desperate. You know, that's still a good way to deal with your own dilemmas. I never wanted to do therapy. I look back now and see how important it could have been to my marriage, you know. It could have been for not even to my marriage, but
just for yourself.
For myself, you know, to help me. But I never wanted to do it till now. I think I've thought about it, and I don't like. I want to do therapy, but I'm just. I don't feel like I get to the point where I want to, and then I feel like I don't need it.
The trauma?
I guess so.
Because that's how I was. Whenever I was, let's go to the therapy, I was like,
no, yeah, well, that's how I am.
No.
That's how I am.
And then I get there, and I'm like looking at her, like, what is she gonna tell me? Hey,
But do you think it's cultural though? It's something that
I think
maybe
so.
You didn't.
You know, I think it is because when I was growing up, my childhood was just like as in. Not so much nobody cares, but nobody wanted to hear me out.
Nobody.
And so it's like whenever my dad would always just beat my ass. Like, you did something, beat. You know, it was never like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, tell me, talk to me, what's going like, it was never expressing my feelings. So I kind of just had to engulf that.
That's
engulfed
how it was
it.
for me
Engulfed
too.
it. So it's like, nobody cares. It's all right. You know, Maribel, you're good. You got this. I tapped my own back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I thought I was fine doing that. Got into a marriage, and I'm like, whoa. And it literally exposed it. And I feel like for people who are single right now, and they don't know their traumas, I feel like they need to start figuring that out before they get into a marriage.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They have
Definitely.
to, because I mean, either way, you're going to get into a marriage, you're still going to get exposed to it. But I'd rather you do it on your own. Because,
you'll have a better time.
Yeah.
If you figure out who you are.
And you'll have better standards. You'll have better expectations.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I had to get divorced to find... It sucks, but I mean, I had to get divorced to find... You know, the trauma that I didn't think I had.
Mm-hmm.
And see, like when my trauma was exposed, I'm not sure if yours was exposed, but I know my trauma was. So it was just kind of like, we kind of just said, all right, let's just grab hands and let's go. You know, let's make it work, and we made it work.
Damn, y'all got that Dom Letty type of love. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
You got that Fast and Furious type of love, man. Dom and Letty,
you
man.
You got it.
Dom and Letty.
With family.
Yeah. Wait, say it one more time.
We family.
But it's hard. We have our ups and downs where we're like, for the longest time, for a whole month, he'd be like, so how was it? Or like when was it? What day? You know, and tell me more. You know, to know more and to know more was just like stop. Like, let's not talk about it no more. Some people said, hey, it's good to talk about it. But I was just like, I feel like, well, whatever had to be said, what had to be said, and then let's move past it.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Because you don't want, like,
you keep
with a guy, with a guy, this is just me. Like, how big was his dick? Was he better than me?
Yes.
What, did he do things that I didn't do? 100%. It's 100% like that's something that, and the crazy part was she didn't even do any of it, right? But in my head, this is what I was thinking. Because I was just so out there. I was so insecure about everything. So I think I told y'all this story.
I think
about the handyman.
I don't think
No?
so.
All right. So this insecurities, right? So I was watching porn and it was the handyman, the handyman, hey, let me fix your pipe, and then like the guy leaves and then then he's really fixing her pipe, right? And so we had a handyman. He came over one day. He was like, hey, these are the things that I need, right? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I jumped in my truck and I'm driving. And then
wait a minute.
And then halfway there, I'm like, oh man, they got me out the house, dude. I know what they trying to do. So now, like, I'm speeding the Lowe's, trying to grab all the stuff, right? I miss like half of it because I'm trying to like catch them in the act. I put it in the truck. I'm flying back down, to the house. I pull out, pull up. I jump out, park, take the stuff out, and I walk in, try to sniff it. See if you can smell sex. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, they out there doing something. You know what I mean? The handyman was, fixing something in the kitchen, and she came out the room. The room, and I was like, oh, okay, y'all were quick with it. But then, like, she said something, and I was immediately pissed off.
What did she say?
Like, hey. She just said, hey, what's up, boo? Pissed off, right? Because I'm like, in my head, I've already went through
Created
that.
This story.
It already feels real, and because it feels real, there's nothing that she can say or do to take that like realness away, right? And so I think a lot of times, like if you do dig deep and you keep digging deep, then that mentality is going to come, and then like there's one day she'll say something, it'll pop into your head, and you'll be like, and now you're pissed, and she's like, what the fuck, and you're like.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what the fuck? Because you don't know why you're pissed. But then, later on down the line, you realize, like, oh, man, I was pissed because...
We suffer more in our heads
for
than
sure.
we do in reality.
For
We
sure.
really do.
100%.
For sure. So it's just one of those things, yeah.
One of the biggest things that I worry about sometimes, not worry about, but I think about, I'm like...
What if she leaves again?
Nah, not even that. How do I handle coming home to something like that?
Yeah.
Even though we're working on it, even though everything's going good.
Yeah.
What if it happens?
Yeah.
How do I handle going through that? How do you handle that?
Listen, so me and my little brother, we're something that men aren't taught is how to have sex. You watch porn. And then when you first do it, just jump into it, right? Yeah, right, right, yeah, right. But I think a lot of men have insecurities because they don't feel like they know they're not. You know what I mean? They know they're like whack. They know that some of them know that this she's not getting hers, but I'm getting mine every time. Like that's an issue, right?
Yeah, I'll be shaking y'all's head.
And I'm 100% a believer that, and it's the stat. 70% of women do not have orgasms when they have sex. No. Only so 30% of women have orgasms when they have sex, and it's one of those things where I also like want to help men understand, like, hey, boss, like that's not how you should do things. Mm-hmm. There are pills, there are vibrators, there are things you can do to make sure she gets hers before you get yours. Like, don't be selfish about it. Because I also think
that's where you go by having sex with the person.
Well, hold on.
But that's why I think that's a red flag for women in relationships if a dude doesn't want to take the time to make sure that she gets what she needs. Because just think about it. If you, Edmy, as a man, nutted 30% of the time, and 70% of the time she just left you on red, how would that make you feel? You'd be like, oh.
I'd be like, what is it? The Wolf of Wall Street when he's like, those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those up.
But I mean, I think that's another issue that that isn't discussed more. Mm-hmm. It's not a negative thing. It's like, let's have the conversation. Let's figure out.
Like understanding.
Yeah, let's figure out what we can do to make sure that it's 100%. It should be 100%, 100%. Like if you're getting it, he's getting it too, and there is no like ifs, ands, or buts. And and if you 10 pumps and you've done, well then you got to do the things you need to do beforehand before you just jump in there and do your 10 pumps. Like, but. And understanding that now, like I've read books and did I know where the clitoris was at? You know what I mean? Like I kind of had like a that's kind of where it's at type deal.
You got a map in here?
Yeah. But now, like it's one of those things where because of the books that I've read and the things that I've experimented on, now like I know. Right, and then go figure. Like I bought all this stuff like before No Nut November and not having sex, and so now I have
studied up.
Yeah, now I have all this stuff from China that I bought, and it came like two months later. But now it's like,
and that's so important for like you're older now.
Yeah,
but it took you this many years
to
learn, and for a lot of men and both men and women, like you, in their 20s, they're just they don't know any of this until. Like for like you're barely learning about all of this.
No, not barely, girl.
Well,
2 years. I'm just kidding. Like, I am barely.
Well, I mean, you're learning about this, and you're older now. Like it took you so many years to.
Saying older, like older.
You're an old man.
You're wise.
AKA.
Where did you get that box from China, bro?
I got you. Listen. So it's And I think this is something that people just are afraid to talk about, but I don't. So it's like the little paddle, and I hit myself. I'm like, that feels like kind of good. You know what I mean? It's a little strap. You know what I mean? It's.
You like them dominatrix.
Well, no, it's not that, but I think there's I mean, it has that too. It has that too. But no, there's a show on Netflix called Love Goop, and they just talk about there's like 5 ways you can be sexual, and you just assume I just always assume.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought it was just always just pumping.
Yeah, no,
going.
like me, I mean, it's TMI, but I like I like role playing.
Okay, yeah.
I like sneaky.
Yeah.
I like sneaky. I like sneaky, like texting. That you really have to.
Bro, when
like
she's got drinks in
with your
her,
man.
she'll be like, "Hi, do you come often?" I'm like,
Dude, I mean,
shut your ass up.
yeah, dude, I'll be like, "So, do you come here?"
I'm like, no.
That to me, believe it or not, helps me because it's like I'm spicing up my marriage, something like that. It's not just like, hey, we're gonna go home and It's like, oh, I'm gonna take you home and I'm gonna take you home, like just to feel that excitement again.
Yeah, for sure.
I personally like that, so it's just, you gotta find your excitement in your marriage, I guess.
For sure.
You know what's? They say that love has no bounds. Have you heard that before? What if you start opening the doors to too many things, though?
Like what?
Ooh, I know what you mean.
That's
like sexually or
sexually.
Like being what you're trying to say, like
swingers, bro. Like shit,
yeah.
What I mean?
Well, no, I mean you don't. But honestly, so this is just my opinion. Like if that's something that y'all can work on and deal with, that's for y'all. You know what I mean? Like so, I don't think that it's something that, and this, I guess this
Pastor
is
Cliff, if you're listening,
I know, right?
go ahead
I guess,
and log off right now.
Pray for me. But I think this is just something that, is their preference. Like it's somebody's preference. If that's something that they like or want to bring into the marriage, like, that's them. But I just know I don't think it's something that you shouldn't do because then it creates a lot of issues and problems.
That's what I mean, bro. We're talking about experimenting and doing things. But
Yeah.
I mean,
what if we open the door to something that...
Yeah, like that. You're not involving another person, but it's just, spicing some things in the room.
Well,
Yeah.
I did
Not
get
so
you
much.
that goat blow-up doll for your birthday.
Anyways.
Just kidding. It was a joke. Was that a weird time?
That was
Just cut that. Just cut that.
No, I'll keep that one on.
Cut the goat, blow up doll.
No,
But yeah,
I like
she
how
doesn't
we keep
have
coming to this conversation when we start from freaking childhood.
I know,
traumas.
right? And then,
Now we know our childhood traumas.
Yeah.
How we run away from them.
This is what it is, Aaron. This is our childhood traumas.
Okay, so dealing with childhood traumas, right? Counseling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like people. Some people don't like going to counseling. I'm a big believer in counseling too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get that shit out.
Yeah.
Don't however way you get it out. Counseling. There's so many different types of counseling you can go to, and so just find a way to get it out. You got to go to your church, talk to your priest or your pastor. That's another way of getting it out.
It is.
You don't have to go to a counselor, but if you sit down and you talk to a good friend and y'all have like those deep ass conversations, and every time you leave, there's more of an understanding. Then that's also that's also a good thing. So, I've had dinner and lunch with Pita, and both times I left the dinner and lunch with more of an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time there was one, it was a thing where she said, even if he did everything possible to be the best man he could possibly be, I'm done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so because I heard that, I realized there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. I would always ask you.
There is nothing I can do.
Especially when a female
whenever she's like she's already checked out, right? And so regardless of if I'm doing the work or not now, doesn't matter because her in her mind it's already over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to be like, you know what, like I'm going to be okay, like regardless of if we're not going to work, I'm going to be okay, right? Because essentially counseling session. I didn't, just having the conversation, understanding now, like, oh, okay, well, that was it. Like she 100% done. There is no like trying to make something work if that's where she's at, and that's where she's at right now. And so I respect that, and I'm, I got to move on. So, yeah, you broke it.
You broke
the.
No, but I agree with that. I think whenever me and Edmy were going through it, I was the first one to leave, and I mentally checked out. But I felt like he held on.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. And I saw him suffer so much, as in like, I've never seen him at that suffering stage.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, it's just like, man, I really care for this man.
Mm-hmm.
But I come to thinking like, you care for him. What are you doing? As in like, you're sticking around. If you're gonna leave him, leave and leave.
You're blowing kisses at his ass and all that.
I kind of did all that.
Bro, last year around this time,
So I kind of had to like mature myself.
It was around this time.
Kind of give me a little self check and be like, hey, like, don't stop being like that.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. Either you're going to leave this man, you're going to work with this man. What are you going to do? So, well, I mean, we're here now. So already, there goes my decision.
I admire that though. Y'all are, you don't often see young couples that are able to go. A lot of young couples don't stay married or together. And a lot of that is because they don't deal with their childhood traumas or they really don't know. They're still learning about themselves. And y'all have managed to, you're 26 and 28. I mean, y'all are young. And I went through a big hardship, a big one.
Yeah. I give props to Edmy. I told Edmy, I was like, you probably are the one that more than likely saved the marriage. Because he could have just said, all right, well, I'm leaving too. I'm going to go do what I got to do. I felt like if he would have chose that and I went in my way, we wouldn't have got back.
So here's what I want to do. I want to, statistically, marriage has been like on the decline for the longest time. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Another thing is that women, like 80% of all relationships, women initiate the separation. And then they end up about 90% of the time regretting what they did at some point of that separation process. I wanna be the people that, like, hey, we went through some shit. Like, dude, whatever you guys are going through, as long as it's not abusive, I really do feel like you can, like, have you exhausted all your resources? Everything that you had at your disposal to make your marriage work. Because I honestly feel, and this is like no shade at anyone at all, but this is how I felt. It's not about my happiness anymore. My kids, I know what it's like living with divorced parents. I don't want my kids to go through that shit. That's why I held on. For real, it wasn't. I love you.
And I even told them, I was like, what if we didn't have kids? You know, would you have still held on?
Probably not as much as I did, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying.
And I love you.
Different.
But the thing is, it's not about us anymore. It's about them.
Very true.
Yeah.
And that's
It's not their fault.
And showing them the maturity of, like, yeah, like, we can, you can still, have your differences but come back together and still make it work.
And I feel like divorce isn't the end of a relationship, dude, either.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I was so obsessed in fixing this relationship. I buried myself in, like, therapy, reading books, podcasts, church.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about marriages. Dude, I've read about marriages that the woman leaves, gets pregnant by another man, and they still come back together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like the worst cases, and they still come back together. So divorce doesn't mean the end of a relationship.
Yeah.
That's why I don't 100% agree with what you're saying, Pita. And the thing is, not to offend anyone here, but women were never meant to lead because they change their opinions and their emotions a lot. They're led by emotions. Men are more logical.
Yeah.
Right? So I know that in time, you might feel different. I don't know.
Well, I've had my day, like, throughout the year. I think it's been a year, almost a little over a year since I separated. And I mean, I had my days too where I wasn't happy and I did miss him. But in the back of my head, it was always, for me, just for me, not for anybody else. For me, it was, do you want that? My environment wasn't
Healthy.
a good environment. It wasn't healthy.
Right.
Ours, both of
100%.
ours, not
I
just
agree.
me, him too. It wasn't healthy. So every time I thought about, I did go through times where I missed him, but I always thought about that. I would never do that. Like I would never do that to myself. I would never put myself in that predicament. And that's the predicament I put myself in when we were married. So for me, the way I see it is different just because of my circumstance and what I went through in the environment that what we dealt with for years, behind closed doors every single day. That's why I see it that way.
I agree with you on that too. I told Edmy, I was like, I can't look at Edmy and say, I left Edmy because he was a bad man. He was an abuser. I can't say that. I left him because I wasn't just getting appreciated. I wasn't getting the attention I needed. Every time I come home, he's on his game, and I'm just like, hello.
So I remember that, dude. You know what's crazy is
I would cry to him. Like I remember, I was like, Edmy, I need you to like just listen to me. I love you. I love my marriage, and he'll just be like,
my
I don't know what to tell
trauma.
you.
I think the trauma that I had was my parents divorcing and my little brother dying. And what I did with that was distract myself with all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
A man distracts himself with pleasure that doesn't have purpose. Again, right? I would play video games, go play guitar, go do some other shit. Maribel would come, babe, and like, let's hang out. Babe, let's do this. I would literally just like, yeah. Yeah. Okay, babe. Yeah, I love you too. Okay, yeah. And I would be playing my game. And I remember the day that she left, she's like, Edmy, like, this is it. Like, please just talk to me, please, like this. And I was just like, yeah. Like, same shit. She's not gonna leave. And then, like, 360, boom. And that happens
That
a
was
lot.
really hard for me though. Like, people say, "Oh, it's so quick for you to leave," and I was like, it took me months to like leave, to say like, I'm really gonna do this, you know, because I was holding on to the door, but I just felt like he's not gonna open it. I don't know. I always say this. Why is it that men, and I don't know if it is, that always have to like, oh crap, whenever like
have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, right. Why do you have to learn the hard one? Like,
Yeah.
she's left, and she's like, oh, okay, I did mess up. And then, like, the girl,
Oh, no, she's gone.
you know, and that's hard. That kind of sucks because right when I left, he's all like, he goes and doing a 360 too, and I'm just like, wait, like, that's not fair for me.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, that's not fair for me that you're gonna go and I'm begging you to change, and then like literally in a week you're ready to change and be this man. I'm like, I was asking for it like literally 2 weeks ago and you couldn't give it to me.
Yeah.
Now you want to give it to me. You know?
And you know what's crazy? I was trying so hard in my marriage, like trying really hard, and nothing seemed to be working, right? I was going to church. I still stayed firm in like my faith and working on myself, going to the gym and all that stuff. I was doing good. And then I was just like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. Like, I'm not trying anymore. That night, I was wearing a suit. We had an event at work. I was wearing a suit. I was already going to like just start talking to other girls and everything.
Yeah.
She stops me. Like, I'm leaving and she's like, hey, like, what if we have dinner as a family? And I was like,
I didn't even know he was going to an event though. He was coming back from another event, but I didn't know he was going to leave again, like to another event. I just told him, hey, let's go have something to eat.
and yeah, we went to FE and then we started kind of work things out. It wasn't the same, but we still had to go through a lot of stuff too, and that wasn't even. But it's crazy how when I was about to check out, so I feel like in your case, Pita, there was a lot that I'm 100% a believer that he could have done something to fix it. I feel that, and God needed to be a part of it, like in the center of it, for it to work.
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
And in your case, Aaron,
Aaron's is different.
I'm not a professional or anything, dude, but if you really love her, dude, I don't know, bro.
It's hard.
It's hard, bro, because
It's hard.
but I feel like never lose hope if you really love the person. I
So-
honestly believe that.
But I also feel that sometimes in love you just have to let it go. Because I'm not
free if it comes back.
I'm not doing any of this, like this work right now, having these conversations.
And attempts to
Because like my energy would be all towards like trying to get her back.
Letting
And now I like my energy, like I have nephews that I don't want to ever feel the way I feel
Right.
because I made someone feel this way. You know, and so, you know, my goal now is just to have these conversations and be like, hey man, like let's be better as like men.
Man, yeah.
Let's just be better men. Like it doesn't have to get to this level. You don't have to like your wife doesn't have to come to you and tell you and beg you to
Exactly.
get off a game before you finally realize like, oh crap, she's gone. Like you don't have to go through that. You don't have to like, you know, if you're dealing with, you know, pornography and cheating and like, you know, if you haven't dealt with some issues that you're going through in your childhood, then you have to go and like have those conversations because no one deserves to be treated that way. Now looking back, she didn't deserve to be treated that way. And I think that's one of my motivations now. Like I don't want to hurt people. Like
Yeah.
that's just my heart. I don't want to hurt people. And so that's why like I'm afraid to like have sex.
That's
right?
good.
Yeah.
Because
That's good.
because I know like I'm not in a place and I know that person will just get hurt.
Yeah.
Because like if they want more, I'm like I can't help you with
Because your
that.
intentions were different.
I can't help. So now my intentions are, again, I'm not just having sex just to have sex. There has to be a purpose for it. And so there is no just like, let's just do it for fun. Now, do I want to from time to time? You bet your bottom dollar I do. I just want to go out there and just, you know. But I also know
That's
that
the easiest thing.
that's easy. I don't. My life has been like easy. Like if anything has ever been like difficult, I just go and I just drink and I'll do something to take my mind off of it. And so now I'm just like I'm in that process of like going through it, of like feeling that pain and feeling that frustration and like again this weekend like lonely. You know what I mean? Like at my house just chilling, working. So I got done working. I'm just chilling, but it's just like, this is what I need to do in order for me to like, be the best man that I can possibly be. For for myself first, but for the next relationship that I decide to get in. And like I said, who knows when that's going to be, but I'm just hoping and praying like I can stay the course and stay strong, because Jesus knows that's a weakness, especially when you stop doing everything. So you stop drinking.
Cold turkey, too.
Cold turkey.
You didn't, like, gradually, huh?
No, I was like, I'm done. Like, I almost wrecked the car. I almost got into a wreck. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I can't do that. And so all the vices childhood trauma. So my vices from childhood, alcohol, porn, sex, other women. Like, that's just what I ran to. Gambling is another one. So I don't gamble. Well, I did gamble Sunday because I knew the Cowboys was going to lose.
You know what's also a big one? People pleasing.
100%.
Oh, that's
and
a big one.
I'm a big people pleaser. I don't want to make people like
upset.
I want everyone to like me, but now I'm just like fuck that.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm getting to learn, and I think I'm getting better because I would also be a people pleaser. Like,
yeah.
I get along with everybody and anybody, So it's just like when one person just set off, I want to know like why.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else can like me, but if you don't like me, I have a problem with it. Now it's bugging me.
Let it eat her out.
So I'm just like, but now I'm just like, hey, you don't like me? That is a personal problem,
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure.
People pleasing. I mean,
we still haven't got to the childhood, but I think we're not going to ever get to it. So we're just going to
just expose it, y'all.
Yeah.
Expose that childhood trauma. Talk to somebody.
So what are you trying to do with
talk to
childhood
somebody.
trauma?
Just talk to somebody.
What are you trying? Like, you ask us about childhood trauma, but what are you? You're
like,
saying we
what
didn't get
is
to it. Yeah, you're saying we didn't get to it.
Well, I mean, no, it was just a question that you had in the very beginning, and I thought that was a great question just to kind of talk about was, the trauma and, and you said, how do you deal with it and things? Or how do you find ways? And that's what we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, exposing it. Pretty much literally talking about it with somebody.
Yeah. So
I feel like it's easier said than done,
100%
obviously. So
easier said than
I
done.
feel like anybody listening and experienced childhood trauma,
I
think the first step, honestly, writing it.
Yeah.
I think when I wrote it, I said, I have an addiction of porn.
Yeah.
I had this and that, and I exposed it, and I said, okay, that's one step you can do.
Yeah.
I like to talk to myself. I don't know about you. I know God's probably listening to me, whatever, but I like to talk out loud. So I say and repeat it like, hey, this and this is happening, but that does not make me who I am.
Yeah.
And then after that, I feel more comfortable talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
And after that, I feel exposing it to more people.
Yeah.
So I think that could be.
So exposure to it.
Yeah.
I think 100%.
I think it was understanding for me because, like, TikTok, dude, like, there's a lot of TikToks where they'll explain. Someone will do a behavior that's toxic or inappropriate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you're like, oh, shit, I do that. I didn't even know that shit was unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm a narcissist.
Like, oh, shit. Like, we're doing shit that's not.
No, it's true.
Logic. And that for me was a big eye opener.
Whenever you would post things or talk, I'm like, dude, check. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I don't even know I was doing that, you know? You think it's okay, but I guess when it's done to you, it's not okay. So that's whenever it's just like you get to realize what you're really doing.
I think also awareness, bringing awareness to it and, being more aware of the space that you're in. I know why, I failed No Nut November the 3 times that I did decide to watch porn and masturbate. I know, where I was at mentally. I know what I was doing. I know what I need to do now the next time I start to feel, that urge, you know what I mean? Because, so it was 2 choices for me. It was either pick up the phone and make that call or and I thought those were 2 choices, but there's so many more choices I could have done. But, because I'm still like in this process of, trying to figure it out.
Don't you ever have like does it happen to you whenever, you watch porn and you masturbate? You have the urge, right?
Yeah.
And then after you're done, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was telling.
Oh Lord.
That's what I was telling Edmy. I was like, going through. I kind of just, I did it, and then like that's it.
Yeah.
I felt like
Oh, I think it's your
I
phone.
don't want to say I felt disgusted or
sorry.
anything, but it's just like I just felt like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Like you end up regretting it now. You're like, because you don't go scrolling still and like, okay, round 2, you know,
Yeah.
like literally it's just like, all right,
Yeah, nah,
you know,
it's a fix, and then but I think
like
now,
literally drugs.
yeah,
Like you're literally addicted to it.
100%.
Dopamine, right? It's what releases in the head.
It's a fix, and I know, talking about it and saying like, hey, this is who I am, and I'm not afraid to like say that there's still a struggle, and there's still going to be a struggle, and who knows when it's going to end. But my goal is to just make sure that I'm not doing it to the point to where, or I'm not doing it at all. But I'm not doing it because like you do. It is you look at women differently. You start to view them differently. You start to objectify them. You start to like have these crazy thoughts, and I think lust comes from it, man.
Oh.
There was
Yes.
one point in my life, like not one woman could walk by me, not one. It didn't even matter how she looked, like it did not matter. Like ooh wee.
Because you would devour her.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and it was just so much, and it was draining. I was like, Jesus, it's draining. It really is draining because like no one could like walk by me. It was just like I always had to like, have that thought process, and so yeah, so now
a lot of men struggle with that, but
100%.
I feel like some men more than others, dude. I have a lot of friends and older people, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna name anyone, but that'll like make it obvious as fuck that they're looking at someone.
Yeah.
That's a bad reflection of character, bro.
Yeah.
Even publicly, like
Well, they can't help it because what they're doing in the dark will come out.
Ooh.
And so because you're doing this stuff in the dark and you're not telling nobody, anytime a woman does walk by, you're gonna make that look. You're gonna be like, ooh wee, like man, oh my gosh. And then to me that makes you less of a man.
absolutely.
Because like if you are looking at someone like that, you go and you tell her. Right, we had that conversation this morning.
Yes.
You go and you say, you go and you let her know, and then she gets to choose. Like, oh, okay, like yeah, you're cute. Let's talk. Or like, dude, no, you're ugly, and then that's it. And you walk away because at least you tried. But just like creepily sits in the corner, like looking at her, dude. You know what I mean? It's super weird. Like,
And it's uncomfortable.
My gosh.
You make the woman feel
Everyone,
uncomfortable.
bro. Not just the
I
woman.
much rather have a not like.
Not
But I'm saying like I'd much rather have a man, and like not talking married, but as a man to come up and tell me like, hey, I like you, and do something, and me either deny or accept it, than him creeping on me constantly, because then I feel uncomfortable to a point where I'm like, okay, I gotta stay away from you. Like legit.
I think you kind of have more respect for men. Like there's,
Yep.
I've had
exactly
a man approach me before and just say, "Hey, you're very beautiful," and that's it. They don't mean anything out of it. They just
Giving you a compliment.
Yeah, complimenting you. It doesn't always have to
But
be
a lot
sexual.
of women take it so hard. Like,
And
let
that's
me tell you,
true.
like women, like sometimes, like
That's true.
Oh
They
my
take
God.
they
You know what
they
I
take
get-
offense to it, but
they could be wearing like bikinis, half naked, and they're like, no offense, not
Oh,
trying to
dude,
bash
for
girls,
real,
but
dude.
they could be like, oh, cute, and the guy could be like, dude, you look so good. Oh my God, you're a perv. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, sis, like I get free your body, it's your body, but I was like, men are men.
Yeah, they're gonna look.
They're gonna look.
Mhm.
You can't. Well, I mean, they could look away. They could look away. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, I, as a woman, sometimes can look at a man, but I gotta respect in front of my man, or my man can look at a woman. It's gonna happen. You're human.
you're gonna see a man and
You're
find
gonna
that they're
happen.
attractive.
Every time like a woman walks by, I know Maribel looks at me, so I'm like,
And like when a woman passes, I'm like this.
Oh Lord.
What is going on?
Yeah.
You know what? And then to make it to feel less uncomfortable, if I see a really beautiful girl, I'm like, babe, she's really pretty, huh? And if he says yes,
ugly, bro.
it's fine, because there's that self of insecurity or security there. If you're a man, yeah, she's pretty. Oh, you think she's pretty? Boom.
It's a test, bro.
And honestly, be real. you're pretty, right? But there's a lot of other pretty girls out there, so don't make that assumption like he's not saying like, oh, she's pretty too. Like that's just it's not nothing like, you know, negative or bad. It's just like there's beautiful girls out there.
Uh-huh.
There are beautiful girls out there. But there's ways to do it. You don't have to be like, I guess, a creeper about it. But I also, you know, as a man, I just know, you know, flip it on his head. Like as far as like the woman being the one to choose and things of that nature. Now I'm in that process of like, no man, like this is golden too. Like you got a golden vagina, I got a golden pee-pee. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. We're not gonna play these games.
Platinum.
Yeah, platinum.
True, though.
But it's like
very
I'm not like I'm like a lot of dudes like chase.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I'm not chasing no more. Like it's an adult thing.
And women expect that.
It's an adult thing.
Mm-hmm.
I respect you. I like you. If it's the same thing, we'll whatever. And if we don't, then we don't. But don't expect me just to be like running after like that. I got stuff I gotta do, man.
Right
yes,
like
for
that
sure.
Was like, he didn't text me back. Oh, wait till he texts us back.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna wait 5
my
hours to
goodness.
respond.
Yeah.
Like, should I text him back?
Not
It's
a
not
little
2:30.
too hard over there.
It's not 2:30 now.
But it's the game. But I understand too. It's the game aspect of it. Like that is just how society is. Like you play
The
game.
dating game sucks, bro.
But I
Right
tell
now.
people.
How would you know?
Because of
No,
what
he
people tell
talks
me.
I know, I'm just.
I talk to a lot of men.
Yeah.
Bro, a lot of men ask me for advice.
Yeah.
For real, I'm being serious.
You know, and I had like his friends, single friends, tell me like, hey, like coming from a woman perspective, like, you know, how can I not be a creeper to a girl or something like that? I'm like, you know what? A girl knows what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not gonna like, hey, like friend zone. She's gonna friend zone you. She's gonna friend zone you. If not, if she wants something serious with you, oh, she's gonna
pursue
want
that.
something serious.
Yeah,
with you.
she'll let you know
Yeah.
without a mother freaking doubt. But what I do understand and know is now I will match your energy.
Ooh,
Yep.
yes.
If you text
good.
me 30 minutes later,
I'm going to text you.
I will text you 30. I will wait maybe 30,
No
45.
wonder.
I will text you 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
If you call, because I was watching the video and Busta Rhymes was talking about like the energy that you have, like it's 24 fucking hours. You have 24 hours of your energy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't waste your energy on someone who isn't going to waste their energy on you.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
if they're not willing to waste energy on you, don't
Stop
waste your
giving
energy
your
on
They
them.
have time.
They do have
They
time.
have time.
If they want
have
to
time.
make the time,
They'll make the
Yep.
time.
they have the time,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
right? And
I
so
agree.
yeah, so I 100% like there's some people who like they want me to make the
They're
time for
waiting.
them, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't
Mm-hmm.
because I know I'm gonna crush you, like point blank period. Like I'm in that mind space of just like you're gonna get hurt, right? And so again, I'm not hurting people now. Like I want to be mindful of it and not just be like I need to get my fix because then somebody gets hurt, you know, and it ain't gonna be me. It's not gonna be me because right now like I'm just an asshole. Like I don't the feelings of it. So yeah, so it's just one of those things where, you know, I tell single guys like my ass is.
I know you all looking
Yeah,
at me.
but it's just one of those things where like, you know, you have to match energy, and if they're not going to match that energy, then you know you don't have to waste your time. Do not be a simp. Do not waste your time on somebody that, you know, they're not willing to at least give you some of it back. And if they are willing to, then you see how it progresses and goes from there. But if they're not, hi and bye. What's up? I mean, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's not going to like you. And you'll be all right.
No, yeah.
For sure.
Very true.
God damn, man. It's 2 hours, man. I don't know what. Part
Hey,
two.
out of all your podcasts, how
Part
was this
two.
one? How would you compare this
They're all different. They're 100% all different. Because me and Cliff talked about, we talked about porn a lot. And you kind of get to the reason why I love Pastor Cliff is because he's also
one?
real.
It's real.
I think one thing, like, you know, you have to be in this world is just real. Real with yourself, real with others, that's how you get. I think that's how connections are formed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't form a connection with any of y'all if there's no like if you're not being somewhat real with me and I'm not being somewhat real with you, because then you feel it. I'm not fucking
The
fake, man.
energy
I'm not finna go over there and talk to him. I just know what it is. That's why, like, I fuck
Like you
with.
can't feel like you can't pour yourself. You can expose yourself to him, and he's just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
thanks, like,
Yeah.
you know, and he won't expose back.
So I fuck with Edmy because like anytime we don't have like, hey, how's the sky, bro? No, we have deep ass conversations. There is no like
So how's the game, man?
I'm not trying, but see that's the conversations I want to have, and I think people don't want to have these conversations, especially with me because I'm gonna talk about it.
Oh, I love conversations.
Yeah,
like that.
I'm gonna talk about it 100%, and like that's just what it is. Like I don't want to be like a guy where, you know, we're talking and I leave and I'm like, what the fuck did we talk about for a whole hour? We didn't talk about anything like of substance. Like I just wasted a whole hour of my time. You know what I mean? Like I never want like if we're gonna have a
You'll
conversation,
learn something from somebody.
Let's take
100%.
Yeah.
Either I'm trying to, you know, pour into you or at
Right.
least you pour into me or we're trying to pour into each other. But it shouldn't be just like I leave it, I'm just like, that's
Well,
That's exactly what I want to
know
do
who that is.
with my friends too, because Maya and Lupita are very good friends of mine. And at first it was like, bitch, guess what? I got Cheeseman, obviously gossip, you know, and did you know this and that? You know, we'll have something like this. But then I step back and yeah, it's funny and it's cool. But then I realized I'm like, what am I pouring into my friends? And what are they pouring into me? You know, so it's just taking her to work out with me and talking about that. And that's me pouring into her and she's pouring into me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my other friend Maya also, she's not in a serious relationship and she pours into me and I pour into her and I'm like, that's what I like. It's not just, oh my God, did you see that homegirl? You know, she just got divorced and she lost her baby. Like, you know, it's just like it's just like big, like, you know, things that we don't need to talk about. Like, it's just like, there has to be a point where it's like either I'm growing, she's growing, we're all growing. You know?
Oh, speaking of gossip, so the girls have a Facebook page, guys, fellas, that where they'll expose you and stuff. So just be on the lookout, right?
Be on the
Is
lookout.
that still a thing?
I don't even,
Is it
I
still a
don't even
thing?
think I'm joining to that thing.
It is still a thing. Yeah.
They were showing me all kinds of shit. Like, oh, damn, that's my
Yeah.
friend. I mean, that's not my
That's
friend.
my friend. I know that
I think
guy.
we all need a good friend a friend like that. You know, I think for me that's what you've been for me. And even if it's not like a lifetime friend, you go through seasons and there's a person that
Well,
some people are blessed to have like a person. I feel like I've always had a person that in every season of my life and that has been a good role model. I haven't seen it that way a lot of the times.
right.
But I've always had that. And that's good to have because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have that stability and like that village again, you know, they don't have a good village in their seasons. They don't. And that's why they fall into the things that they fall into,
Very
whether
true.
it be, you know,
Drinking,
Drugs,
going
sex.
out. I see that a lot in my in our
Going
time,
friends.
like we're our friends in high school. I see a lot of that,
Oh yeah.
and and it's just like, man, like I wish I could like bop them in the head and be like, it's not all that,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm not grown. I'm 26 years old. I'm not like, oh, I already know everything in life. I'm still learning about life, but I just feel like what I've, you know, having kids, getting married at such a young age, you had to grow up really fast. So I just all the things that I know. I've been wanting to talk to people about it. We've been needing to do a podcast for the longest time because I feel like a lot of people don't want to speak up or don't want to say something, so they just keep doing what they want to do because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's just like speaking up and saying like, "Hey, I was in your shoes, and I've done it before." It's like you don't have to do that. You know, it's not cool. It's not something that you have to rep. You know.
But I think that's why we were put on this earth, to tell our story so that the next generation or the next person doesn't have to go through what we went through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if there's couples, and so this is like the blessing of it, you don't know who you're going to affect.
Yeah.
Like your story is going to affect
Bless
someone.
someone.
It's going to help someone like fight for their marriage,
Yep.
or it's going to
Yeah.
help someone like, you know, keep the course even though like there has been cheating and
No
things
hope.
that has happened. Yeah.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
there's hope, right? You know, and Lapita's story of like this was it. Like there's no way I could go back.
Yeah.
You know, like there's still love, right? But like just knowing me and you know what I want in the environment that I want in my life, that's just not what I need, right? And so someone's going to pick up from that, and someone's going to pick up from me not to watch porn, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
I mean,
like people are going to pick up on something that this conversation has had, and like I said, the ripple effect is going to happen. We might not ever see it, but it's something that you know it's going to help others, and I think that's what we're put on this earth to do is to go through struggles, not to keep quiet, but to help someone else out in need, because that's how
That's how the enemy.
I've learned a lot of shit because like people have shared their stuff with me because I shared it with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I know like I'm not the only one going through this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more people going through this
I
and
once
it's,
heard
and it's just me.
a
Very
problem
true.
shared is a problem solved.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And for daily motivational and up-to-date content, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Excellence Above Talent. And remember, keep moving forward, never give up, and you are never alone in this battle. We'll see you next time.